In this video, we're taking a look at a budget-friendly set of ND and polarized filters for the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Now, this set is about half the price of some of the other comparable sets out there. So we're going to check it out and see how they perform. I'm going to show you how to install them, how to remove them from your Mavic 2 Pro, and we're also going to take a look at some footage to see if these filters make any difference at all. So stay tuned because we're getting into it, and we're getting into it right about now. Okay, so here are the filters. They come in this plastic case to store them in and transport. And here you go. So you get the 4 filters, 132 and 164 ND and 132 and 164 polarizer. Now the polarizers are fixed, so there's no dial here for you to adjust them. Now that's good and bad. The good thing is you put them on the Mavic 2 Pro and you don't have to worry about adjusting them at all, but it does limit the adjustments that you can make with an adjustable polarizer. Now the filters are made out of glass, not plastic, so that's real glass. The housing is aluminum, so it should be the same materials that you'll find on the stock filter that's already on the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. And then you get this microfiber cleaning cloth to keep that glass clean. Here's the lens cover from the Mavic 2 Pro. I don't know if you call this a filter or not. I'm not sure if it's a UV filter. I'll look into that and put a caption up on the screen. But from all accounts, it's just a clear piece of glass with the aluminum housing. And I'm going to show you how I remove this from the Mavic 2 Pro in a few moments, so don't worry there. We'll definitely walk through that. But this is balanced and it is really lightweight, and the filters feel pretty much exactly the same, just to the touch and to the feel. But we're going to go ahead and weigh them because I'm curious myself to see if they're similar in weight. Don't really have a way to see how balanced they are, but we'll at least weigh them. Okay, so let's go ahead and weigh the stock lens cover here. Looks like 1.94 grams. 193, 194. Okay. And let's grab one of the filters. And actually it feels a little heavier. Okay, so the filter is 2.32 grams. And I'll put the difference up on the screen, the difference in weight. Okay, now let's walk through how to actually install the filters. Now, the original filter on the Mavic 2 Pro, you're gonna have to remove that. Now the first time I did this, it was a little nerve-wracking because I didn't really know what to expect, and you know, you just don't want to fumble with your gimbal. But once I've done it a few times, it's really simple and really easy to do. So here's how I do it. I basically flip the drone over and set it on its back, and I grab a hold of the gimbal. And let me see if I can zoom in here a little so you can see. Okay, so I grab a hold of the gimbal just like that, and you see that each side here has a flat side. You're gonna grab a hold of that and twist counterclockwise. Ever so gently, just twist it. And you see how it kind of unlocks. And once you see it do that, just carefully pull it off, just like that. Now let me show you this. So here's what you're looking at. You see those little notches there? Okay, and they just fit right into the camera there. You see that? The face of the camera. So when you put them back on, you're gonna fit the notches back into those slots just like that. See that? And then what I found is to place one fingertip at each of the corners like this. just so you make sure it's flush, push down, and then twist. Hang on, let me make sure I have everything flush, and then twist clockwise. And it's as simple as that. That's how you do it. All right, let's do it again. Twist, pull it on off, and you're good to go. Simple as that. Now let's grab one of the filters. And as you can see, they're made the exact same way. Let me grab the stock filter, see that? Okay, so you're going to install them the exact same way. Just kind of line them up, line those notches up, just like that. Place a fingertip at each corner and just kind of push down on it gently and twist clockwise, just like that. And I'll take them off, just like so. Okay, now I've used these filters for about 10 different flights so far, and I haven't noticed any issues with the gimbal, no error messages, no jitters, nothing out of the ordinary. Pretty much a similar experience as with the stock lens filter or cover. So we're going to go ahead and power on the Mavic 2 Pro, and I'll show you what it looks like when it starts up. It's basically the same as with the stock filter or lens cover. All right, let's power it on. And there you go. Okay, so like I mentioned before, I've used these filters on 10 different occasions, and I haven't noticed anything out of the ordinary. The experience hasn't been any different from using the stock filter or lens cover. Now, the one thing that does concern me, and this could just be me being an overprotective parent, if you will, of my DJI Mavic 2 Pro. But the one thing that concerns me is taking these on and off over and over and over. You see the notches here. It almost reminds me of screwing in a screw. You know, the more you screw it in and unscrew it, the more chance you have of stripping that thread, or you know what I'm getting at. So it's the repetitive twisting and turning of this that worries me a little bit. But again, that could just be me being a little bit paranoid about this this expensive piece of equipment. Okay, so this was on a mostly sunny day, and I set ISO at 100, filming in 4K at 24 frames per second. And I followed essentially the same flight path for each flight. Now let me say this. This test was not done in a laboratory, so there may be slight variations in lighting due to transitioning clouds, but each flight is under the same flying conditions. Now we're starting with auto settings as our control, and as you can see, the footage looks great. I'm a huge fan of this camera and a strong believer that you can get amazing images without the use of a filter. But at the highest aperture of f11, the lowest shutter speed I could manage is 1/200th of a second, which is a little faster than the ideal 1/50th. Double the frame rate is the conventional ideal. Now, one of the great things about this camera is the flexibility in dialing things up to get the exact exposure you're looking for. And I think with a little tinkering, I may have been able to reduce the frame rate here. Nonetheless, it still looks great. Great saturation, contrast, and dynamic range, which is what you can expect from this drone. Next, we have the ND32 mounted, and you can see the aperture is down to f5 now, and the shutter speed is set to 1/50th. So the main purpose for using an ND filter is to reduce the amount of light hitting the sensor, thereby allowing you to use a slower shutter speed so you can get more natural looking motion blur. I'm filming in D-Log-M, so I obviously needed to grade the footage. I used the same grading for each ND filter and polarizer. I just brought up the contrast and saturation a little bit, but that's about it. You can obviously use the filters with auto settings, so if you're not into making adjustments in post, you might still find filters useful. You probably won't notice much difference between the footage one by one here, but I'll get you a side-by-side comparison in a few momentos. Okay, here's the ND32 polarizer. It's actually a neutral density filter and polarizer combined. Now the aperture is at f5 once again here. Now, polarizers do a little bit more than neutral density filters. Pop these bad boys on to add contrast and saturation to the image, to reduce sun glare, while also limiting the amount of light entering the camera. ND64 now, and the f-stop is down to 3.5 this time. So we can open that aperture up more due to the darker filter. And finally, we have the ND64 polarizer this time, and we're sitting at about f4. Okay, now with this side-by-side view now, I think the polarized images are much more apparent. But as you can see, all of the images look really good. Such an excellent machine. All right, y'all, that's my review of the SKYREAT filters for the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Decent, budget-friendly filters that do what they're supposed to do. I'm gonna leave you with some footage I shot with the ND32 polarizer, so I hope you enjoy that. And until we meet again, be good to somebody and be good to yourself. I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.